Welcome to The Writer's Dream, a show where authors are able to speak about their books and what motivated them to write them. They also talk about the challenging journey through publishing and marketing. The authors that we have as guests are successfully published, and they are actively marketing. There is a new aspect to our show, which I talked about the last time we taped, and it's that I ask people to please submit questions to Facebook, questions about writing, marketing, and publishing. And the question that I'm asked most often is, I have this wonderful idea, how do I get it into print? Because people who are not professional writers really don't know what the process is. And I have to say the process today is much more complicated than it ever was. There was a time when you learned to write a manuscript and you submitted a manuscript to traditional publishers, and that doesn't work anymore. Well, it works, but it takes a long time. So my advice is, if you're not a professional writer, is to go and Google free writing courses and learn how to get your idea into manuscript form. And then you will learn so much in just that process that the rest of it will open up to you. Thank you very much. Our guest today is Jean Marie Prince, who has written Inspired Blessings, Led by God to Inspire the World with Love, Faith, and Hope. So, Jean Marie, what's the book about?
Well, the book is about, I think, the best way to understand, and so then you'll also understand maybe the style of my writing, is for me to actually read you the introduction in my book.
I would enjoy that.
Okay. Inspired blessings may be a source of comfort and joy for you, but they may also make you reflect on your life and whether you are living it in a way God desires. However you may respond to them, they could not have been written any other way. I was led by the power of God to write these inspirations from the circumstances around me, my beliefs, and from life itself. Please be open-minded and allow these inspirations to touch your heart to make you ponder the possibilities. Throughout this book, you will see how God has blessed me to be an inspirational writer, read stories of how God saved me both physically and spiritually, and learn the stories behind the 40-plus inspirations that are included with over 14 true stories. The content of this book falls into 4 categories: the beginning process of these inspirations, stories behind the inspirations, my own life story, and true stories from others who are intertwined throughout the book. You will read about individuals who have witnessed God's miracles in their lives. The book is meant to flow from front to back, from one inspiration to the next. This is a book of substance written to help readers face the trials and temptations that await us all.
So, what inspired you to write this book? This is obviously a book of inspiration. And what is it about your life story that motivated you to write this book?
Well, what inspired me to actually write the book, was probably like a little bit over a year ago. I was walking in the parking lot thinking about how I was going to bring Inspired Blessings, because if you read my book, you would know more of the past of Inspired Blessings. And I was thinking about bringing it back in the form of a greeting card line. And all of a sudden I heard, do the book. And I was like, you're right, that makes sense. And so I took that leap of faith. And a year later, I did decide to self-publish it, and a year later, the book was done. And it's just amazing. I mean, to me, Inspired Blessings is a book of miracles.
Now, you mentioned that Inspired Blessings has a history. Can you tell me about that? You say if we read the book, we'd understand the history of Inspired Blessings. What did you mean by that?
Okay, well, what it is that God had, what I talk about is the 4 themes throughout the book. And one being how it starts with, when I was laying in bed with my kids one morning, and all of a sudden I started singing. And I said, let me write down what I'm singing. And little did I know, but that was the birth of Inspired Blessings. That morning I wrote down 5 little short prayer songs. From then on, God had blessed me with over 100 inspirations. So with everything here, it's God-inspired, because there's absolutely no way that I would have been able to do this. And, so I talk about the process of Inspired Blessings. And at one point, God had blessed it where I had over 100 inspirations. And I used to actually sell my inspirations on 8x10 photograph prints that I would order from a publishing company, frame it. And
yes, I've seen your website.
Right, and I would have actually, I had at one point over 60 stores selling it within a 2-year time frame. And then what had happened was I had it was the event of September 11th. The retail stores were having a struggle. So I decided to, you know, say I have to really find myself a part-time job. Turned out to be 9 to 4. Put Inspired Blessings on hold. And then what had happened was...
Those jobs, they tend to do that.
They do. So then what happened was I didn't really then touch it. You know, I just kind of left it alone. But then in 2007, in some ways, I guess I was thinking maybe it might be good to put in a book form, but it was only in the book form of just the volumes, because like I said, I had the over 100 inspirations, and I would take those inspirations and I categorize it. You know, this is all based on love. This is all based on losing somebody or needing faith and so on. And so I put it like kind of like in a little volume form. I also then, at that point, just wrote a little bit about Inspired Blessings and a little bit about myself. And I did have 2 publishing companies, actually, that wanted to publish it. But for some reason, it wasn't the right timing. God didn't want me to do it, so I didn't do it.
You know, so many authors talk about the fact, and this is my own personal experience, that you have an idea and you start and then you stop. And then you go back to it. And in so many cases, the story is this back and forth, leaving it alone. And sometimes I think the leaving it alone is probably a very important part of the process, because in leaving it alone, you're experiencing some personal growth. That when you go back to the project, you can lend to the book something that you didn't have before.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that, because I could say that if I would have written it then or published it then, it actually wouldn't have the 14 different stories. It wouldn't have the struggles that I've gone through, my own trials.
I would love to hear it. You've told me your story, and I think it's an inspiring story. Can you tell us about your childhood?
Okay. Well, you know, so again, you know, one of the things being about Inspired Blessings and how God made me an inspirational writer, which I've never had any formal experience, didn't go to college. Then the other theme was about me and why maybe God chose me. And so basically, I think it's so He can show His miracle, because with no experience and never really thinking that I could ever accomplish to even writing a book, whether even the inspirations in itself, okay? And so another reason I think why God chose me is sometimes, you know, when you read the Bible, He always chooses the lowly, the humble. And I was found 2 days old in a bathroom in Korea. And, you know, left to me, I think, you know, whether it was just left to die or whether to be found, but God had a purpose for me. And
well,
so,
you obviously were left to be found.
Right, of course. The end
Because
result.
here you are.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And, you know, so He's definitely given me a purpose. I know sometimes in life people will say, what is a purpose? Like, you know, what am I supposed to do in my life? Things like that. And, you know, so God has definitely revealed this to me in many ways. And it's revealed through this book.
Who do you think is your audience?
I feel that everybody is my audience. Because first of all, the title being Inspired Blessings, led by God to inspire the world with love, faith, and hope. And as human beings, we all want to be loved. How many times you see things on TV, and actually even just this morning, is that, you know, with the Columbine High School.
The shooting and all
Right,
that.
and I address that because actually after the Columbine High School, I actually have an inspiration called Let Us Seek the Truth that I wrote in here. And so what it is because kids are getting bullied. I actually, growing up, didn't even like being Korean or Asian, because being the second or third Asian in a public school, I ended up being made fun of. And so believe me, I came home crying many days, and I would also tell my mother I want to have a surgery to look American. So it's, you know, so I can understand the pain, you know, that these kids are feeling. And actually, I write about an inspiration because one of my neighbors, Madison, was being made fun of, and she was pretty. She had everything going for her and things like that. And there's people that are just jealous of those type of people. And so I wrote, it's called God's Love, because God loves you no matter what size and shape you are. You know, He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He loves you for who you are inside, not on the outside.
Okay. What was the writing process like when you actually did it, though? Your book is organized. It's a very organized way that you went about it. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I knew that I wanted to be all intertwined. You know, it's amazing because on the one hand, if I had to say that I was ever going to be writing a book, I would have never expected it to be a book like this. I mean, you talk about as your first book, and I don't even know if there will be another book, because I don't know if I could compare another book to this.
I know,
okay?
I know.
It's because, like, on the one hand, I think sometimes it could be easier to write about one person, the beginning story, and then the end. But here, I'm taking the blessings of Inspired Blessings and how God blessed me to be an inspirational writer. And, you know, and also in the first 2 years, how these inspirations came out as a song. All right?
I see in the beginning that basically the first few chapters are about you, about how you came to be inspired, know God, and then go on to write this book. And then after that, this must be you.
Yes. With the big fat cheeks, yes.
Well, look.
But
and then we have beginning steps.
Right. You know what it is? I share my faith. Okay, and and that's so important in my book, because without my faith, this book would never exist.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, and just the steps and the miracles of the different people that God had put across my path, the different stories. I mean, I write stories about people, and they range from mothers who couldn't have children medically, but God blessed them in a spiritual way, and how. You know, then I talk about different people and...
yes, I see here Karen's story.
Yes, yes, amazing story.
So what I see in looking through this is that you have an inspired message, and then you have a song, and then you have people's stories that meet up with that particular theme. That's a nice way to put it together.
I try to make it all flow. I try to make it all flow from how God blessed me to be a writer, for then with my story, along with the fact that there might be a personal story from others that might flow within that theme, along with the inspiration usually it ties in with. So it's taking 4 themes and having it all intertwine, and you talk about 14, 15 different individual stories, true stories, along with my true story, along with the story of Inspired Blessings. I mean, I just think it's such a book of substance, and it's supposed to help people through their trials and that we come across in life. And so many people are, like I said, looking for love. So many people are they're searching for faith.
Just looking for an answer.
Right, because, for instance, my best friend, she lost her dad. And at that point, she never thought about it before. But now she's thinking, where is her dad? You know, everybody's always searching when they lose a loved one. Is there such a thing as heaven?
I always think that I've become my father. At least my son tells me that all the time. You're just like Grandpa now. So.
Well, you know what? His spirit is still within you.
I think so.
But, the thing is, I just find that so many people are searching for faith, searching for the truth, and that's what I'm trying to reveal when they read this, because it's all God-inspired, from the beginning and the end of it. And some people are just looking to increase their faith, because sometimes, life can just bring you down. All the troubles and the worries, how am I going to pay my bills, and how, now I'm laid off. The way this world today is, we just run out of hope. And that's why I'm hoping the fact that there's some inspirations that'll touch people.
Well,
there's some stories that'll touch them as well.
You want a positive message. There's so much negativity in the world. You want a positive message.
Oh, yeah.
What was the most challenging thing about bringing this book into fruition? I'm sure writing it was a joy. It
really was. And you know what? I would think that would be the hardest part of this whole...
It never is.
The inspirations, they average about 20 lines, but they came out within a half hour to an hour. Sometimes like 10:30 at night. I'm like, now? But you know what? God knew. I had 2 young kids at that point, and
they were
got it done. They were done. But also, and even the stories, believe it or not, were easy to write. But the hardest part, my grammar. I've never done well. I don't even know, is it well or good in English? I was a C student.
Yeah. But it's the mechanics of what goes into this. So you needed an editor.
Legwork Teams Publishing in Hauppauge. What a blessing they have been. They've had, between Janet and Yvonne, and then Russ and Gail, with the graphics as well, and Denise. All of them put together. I'm just so thankful and grateful.
You're very representative of American students. You speak very well.
And
when you go to write, the grammar just goes somewhere else.
Do I speak very well?
Yes,
because sometimes I don't have the confidence to think that.
Yes,
and that's why to even think that I can even do this is unbelievable.
Very well.
Thank you.
Very well. So, but I, being a teacher, I had the same problem with my students, is they spoke very well, and they would write something for me, and it was a tragedy, really. I mean, they really needed an editor from Legworks. So basically, once they helped you through that,
and this book only came out when, in December?
December 21st, and it's amazing the success that God has already given me with this
So,
and getting it out there.
Yeah, and also I see that you're really excited about marketing, and that you're going to put this show on YouTube, and you have a Facebook page, I'm sure.
Yes, I do.
Do you Twitter?
I don't Twitter back because I don't know how to do it, but I know that people get my Twitters because I put it on LinkedIn well.
I would strongly, I have a person who
Okay.
helps me with my technical stuff,
Yeah.
and I have not leaped into Twitter yet because I'm still busy trying to do all the Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the
Yeah,
rest
you know
of
what it is? When God had put it upon my heart to take that leap of faith in 2010, in the fall, I took that leap of faith. And then in January of 2011, I started a YouTube, and I asked people to join me on the journey. So I have probably about 14 YouTubes by now. I sing on 2 of them. I'm not a singer, but I just wanted people to understand, the melody when sometimes these inspirations came out.
Well, music
And
is
my
very
wish-
healing, don't you think?
Yes, and my wish and my goal is that I hope that God blesses it, is that I would have Christian artists that are willing to sing some of these inspirations. And I already have somebody in mind, and I've been putting my stuff on her Facebook. I hope she doesn't mind. Natalie Grant, she's a Christian artist. I would love for her to sing one of my inspirations, and possibly My Life is in Your Hands, if you don't mind me sharing it with you.
Oh, please.
Yeah, this is actually a testimony about my life, and so this way people will understand maybe, again, the style of my writing. My life is in your hands. You took control when I was young, when I was not able. I had no mother to love me or a father to give me a hug. I was left all alone in this strange darkness. Nobody tried to claim me or say that they knew me. But Lord, you were always there watching over me, making sure that I was fed. You kept me from the cold. Your hands picked me up and brought me to a loving home. Your grace was poured on me, and I was chosen to be saved. Lord, you blessed me in many ways. I want to thank you. If it was not for your love and caring ways, where would I be today? Would I still be alive, or would I be left standing on a corner, held by the evil of the world? I'm so glad to know you chose me for your very own. I will sing your praises forevermore. And it says, the Lord preserveth the simple. I was brought low, and he helped me. Psalm 116:6.
From the Bible.
Yes.
So this is a song that you want
Oh,
an
definitely.
artist to
And you
sing.
know what? I have many other melodies of the inspirations that also came out. So I would love to have different artists. But Natalie Grant,
what
if she
you
ever
need-
watches this, I just hope that she
Well,
put it on her heart.
she has a website, I'm sure.
She does.
And at the bottom it will say, contact me.
Yes.
And I would do that.
Well, I'm going to put it on
Because
actually
this
her
is
Facebook.
This is a wonderful, well, I Twitter her too, tweet her. I
Again,
understand that the tweeting is the whole thing. Someday I'll dive into tweeting.
I have to understand how it works.
I know.
Cutting it down to size is the problem.
Oh, yeah, I know. But the thing is that's to get to the mundane. It's a marvelous marketing technique, and what you need to do is talk to somebody who produces. In fact, you can talk to Diane. Well, Diane's still out there, but talk to a previous guest, Diane, because she's produced musical CDs.
Oh, really?
So ask her if she knows a company that you
Right.
might want to follow up on, because the whole thing is you write the book is a joy. And most people, when they start this, they think, oh, I've written the book and now I've arrived. No, you haven't arrived anywhere. You've started at
Right.
this is the starting point, and then you have to market.
But marketing as well is, I know that I could go out to the bookstores and to see if that they would be willing to sell. I mean, right now I have it at the Huntington Book Review. But also, I'm going to, speaking with another Christian bookstore, it's in Deer Park, God for Me.
Well, that should be perfect for you, a Christian.
But I'm not really actually going, I'm not really, I guess, looking to market it so much to the bookstores. It is on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com, and 26,000 other online, both
Yes,
international,
but
domestic.
people have to know it's there.
But you know how I'm doing it is actually, I want organizations, for good,
Okay.
that have good causes, that also maybe, share my faith as well. I want them to be able to benefit from some of the sales.
Well, that is a
Contractors for
key.
Kids. I'm doing a fundraiser on April 21st at the 3 Village. It's a 5K run, the health and wellness. That's
Right,
at the
right. I firmly believe that
Murphy
that's a
School.
good way to market, too, is
Right.
to find your not-for-profit niche
right.
and go there.
And then Smithtown Christian School as well, to be able to help them along with it. So
You're
I'm
doing that
it-
very soon, aren't
Yes,
you?
yes, it's actually the week after the Contractors for Kids, which is on April 28th, and it's going to be at Sortino's Cafe from 2 to 5. So also anybody from
And all this information's on Facebook?
right. So anybody also from their church there, Smithtown Gospel Tabernacle, could support the Smithtown Christian as well. And you know, so I just wanted to kind of be a payback as well to these different organizations to help them. So like I said, I could go to the bookstores, but I just think that this will also help to get it out on a more larger scale. Because I mean, I would love to see Inspired Blessings go out as far as from the east to the west and north and south.
Yes, well, you seem to be well on your way. Have you contacted local newspapers? Do they cover your events?
Well, actually, my town, Smithtown Messenger newspaper, did an article just about a couple of weeks ago, and they did a really nice article on me and about the book, and you know, just to let them know. Actually, this is my second time being in their paper, because when I first came out and just did this Inspirations, okay, probably was in 1999, 2000, I forget. And now, so this is kind of, you could say, is a follow-up of what God has been doing with it and the blessings.
Tell us about the butterfly.
Okay, yeah, thank you. The butterfly actually has a very special meaning. In the book, as I talk about the different process of Inspired Blessings and the different steps, God would put different people across my path. And even, so at this one point, there's this lady that I talk about, Linda, and you'll read about her throughout the book and how she's got the gift of prophecy. God tells us, you know, that he does give different people different talents, and she's got the gift of prophecy. And in which I called her one day and I said, Linda, I'm thinking of the logo from my company, Inspired Blessings, and I said, what do you think? Should it be a dove or a blue butterfly? And she goes, you know what? God told me, I said to a butterfly, and she said, you know what? God told me blue butterfly. I said, what? She said, yes, God's put it up my mouth to tell you the blue butterfly, and if you look it up, it's a very rare butterfly. And I was like, and it just automatically clicked because the butterfly had a very special meaning to me. So then I happened to share it at my church, and I showed it to this lady, Penny, and she goes, this missionary worker that I know had given me this blue butterfly pin, beautiful. And I said, really? And she goes, yeah. She goes, she just, you know, really, she goes out there and shares a message of God and things like that, sharing the good news. And, you know, so it's something that really she treasured. I was like, you know, I thought it was very nice for her to share that with me. A couple of days later, we're going to an event, a Christmas party. So I see her at the Christmas party, and she has this little silver box. And I said, oh, what's this? So I open it, and there's the blue butterfly pin. And I was like, but Penny, you know, you told me that was very special. Why are you giving it to me? She goes, well, let me show you the story. She says, I was getting ready tonight, and as I was looking, you know, for the jewelry and what I was going to wear, God says to me, give Jean Marie the blue butterfly pin. And, you know, she responded and said, no, you know, that's very special to me. So then God says to her, no, I want you to give it to her. And again, she was like, you know, no, but what would so-and-so say? He says, don't worry about it. She'll be okay with it. So what happened is then she chose to give it to me. And so sharing this along with somebody else that was with me and hearing the story about this missionary worker, she was like, you know, that's just like Jean Marie. You know, she's, you know, in the fact that how I just love to also share the good news. And then she felt comfortable giving it to me. And that's why I always try to wear it, you know, when I speak about Inspired Blessings, because it does have a special meaning to me.
Book cover.
I mean, right.
It's a theme.
Yes, and so, you know, so it has definitely been a blessing to me, and that's why I just, you know, it was just a second confirmation that it was supposed to be the blue butterfly. And then I also talk about Inspired Blessings when I was trying to think of the name of the company, and I, again, reveal this in the book. And I was calling up my girlfriend, Barbara, what do you think? I'm trying to think of a company name. And I said, what do you think of True Blessings? And she was like, yeah, that sounds good. But I still wasn't sure. So I'm stepping in the shower. I'm like, God, what should I name it? The next thing was feeling a sound from the middle of my chest and out of my mouth comes Inspired Blessings. And I was like, you're right. That's perfect. So what I see is just like when God told me to do the book, okay, I notice whenever God talks to me, I always answer back. You know, so it's just, that's what I'm saying. It's the book has just been such a blessing and the miracles shown throughout it.
Many authors talk about the fact that, many authors, I should say, should preface this with, that's not their day job, being an author, and they find that there's a tremendous disconnect between writing the book and what they write about in their day job. Do you feel that way, or is the book somehow intertwined with your day job or your life?
Well, sometimes, the stories that that I've gotten from my book is been through my day job in ways. I mean, right now I sell insurance a couple of days a week, and then the other days I try to market Inspired Blessings, and people know about it. And in which, through the insurance, sometimes I've also gone through some networking. Okay, I've been involved in networking groups and things like that. Some of the stories that I share in here are from the people from the networking group. So I guess it's sometimes intertwined, because as I'm sharing about what I do, I also share about the fact that God blessed me to write this book.
I think your book is the type of book that it's so much a part of you that it has to find its way into your work, and everything that you hear in your life has to find its way into your book. So many of us who write fictional pieces, it's not, well, I won't say it's not the same. In a way, what happens in our life does inspire our writing, but that's definitely...
Right, definitely this book is about life. Okay, I say that the Bible is the manual of life given in the form of words. I feel that Inspired Blessings, led by God to inspire the world with love, faith, and hope, is the manual of life given in the form of inspirations. Because when you see here is that there are many different topics that you will read about, that you're going to go through the trials in your life, or the loss of a loved one, or contemplating, how do I get past this addiction, or contemplating the fact that if you're debating committing suicide.
I have a really important question for you. This is our last question. I had a guest on the show, and he said you can write the book, you can produce the book, you can have a package, you can market the book, but in order to be as successful as you like, you have to be anointed. Who's your anointer?
I've already feel that God has anointed. I'm sure you knew that answer.
I knew what that answer was.
Yeah, because with the success He's already given me, and just the way it's already touching people, the reviews I'm getting already from it.
Is it as successful at this point as you'd like it to be?
Yes. I mean, it's only been out 2 months, and it's amazing the success God's already given me with it, yeah.
Well, I wish you absolutely the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for your time.
And what can I say? This is a book that I'm sure many, many people are going to enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Linda.